Hey everybody, it's Glenn, back in this video as 31 Horror Toys in 31 Days continues with Palisades, the House of the Dead Hierophant. On the packaging back we see the other characters comprising this series, which they jinxed by calling it Series 1 and then turned out to be the only series they released. So Sega's The House of the Dead was a popular shoot-'em-up franchise in which the player took on hordes of biologically engineered undead, including in the second game the Hierophant, who was the second boss to be encountered. A humanoid yet amphibious creature somewhat in the vein of horror staple The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Only here it's stripped of that 1950s twee charm and with the knob of the terror meter pushed all the way to the max until it practically broke off in somebody's hand. Now I can confess I'm not much of a gamer, never having actually played this particular game, but what I am is a fan of unique action figure sculpts, and this has that in spades, seen in both the scaly texture of his skin and his fins. However, I like to see a good sculpt shown off to full effect, and here the deco gets in the way of that. For me, a good deco is one that accentuates or at least complements the sculpt. But here, especially on the legs, I feel this paint pattern of these dots looking like eyeballs or frog spawn. I think they do the opposite and actually distract from just how good the sculpt is underneath. But let's keep our attention turned towards the sculpt, and his chest is hinged like a double door that opens to reveal his organ innards. That's some pretty gruesome sculpting in there. I believe in the game his chest was repeatedly opening and closing, and the object was to hit him in the chest and kill him. Then looking at the head, I really like the open-mouthed, fang-bearing expression. It's really quite terrifying. As to these bits on the head, makes him look like a nightmare vision of Jar Jar Binks. For an accessory, he comes with this Mo fish. I guess it's some kind of zombie piranha minion of his. Plus he did come with a trident, which he holds in this hand. Alas, I can't seem to find that. But back to the Mo fish. And I'm really quite the fan. I buy action figures just for cool pack-ins like this. I'm really loving the sculpt. And here I can be complimentary about the deco, as I really like the graduated tones of the paint as they transition from light to dark. Now looking at articulation, and the head rotates side to side. Sadly no hinging up and down of the head though. At the arm it does rotate, and this is also hinged, moving up and down, as is his left arm too. Then there's a single jointed elbow followed by rotation of the hand at the wrist. There's waist rotation, then at the hips the legs just swivel forwards and backwards. Then he has single jointed knees, and that completes the articulation. Ultimately, the biggest compliment I can pay Palisades for their Hierophant action figure is that I bought it. I mean, I'm not a fan of the House of the Dead franchise, so I just bought it as a cool looking action figure that's clearly standing on its own 2 feet. So to me, not using the franchise it springs from as a crutch or lure. Sadly, in 2006, Palisades went bankrupt. Along with companies such as Toy Biz, they were victims of pushing the boundaries of what action figures could be, yet also in doing so eating away at their own profit margins. As a toy collector that's been around the block a time or two, I wish back then I'd shown much more appreciation for toy companies like this. Yet alas, it's only the current climate of giving less yet asking for more that's made me realise this. Anyway, click this video if you miss Scareglow, and stay tuned for much more to come in 31 Horror Toys in 31 Days, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.